Aloha.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm well. Nice to see you. Let me see. I don't know how to. Let me see how to turn this on.
There
Okay.
we go.
Yeah. How you doing?
So good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Definitely no complaints. Definitely not
Right?
you as always. As always. Where are you located now? You still in Cali?
Yeah, we're in San Diego.
Okay. All right. Wow, San Diego. Okay. That's what's
hmm
up. That's what's up. I used to be in LA, huh?
Yeah, near Orange County, LA. It was
Ah,
it
wow.
wasn't the greatest place for the energy. It was a lot.
Yeah. San Diego's much better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A
That's
lot
what's up.
more diverse and a lot of people looking for that sovereignty,
Yeah.
open, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure and, always dope to see, you all like evolving and growing and, getting bigger and bigger, man. I've been looking and just seeing, the growth. It's like, wow. It's dope to see, you all take the information and grow the way that you all have. And like, yeah, it's incredible. I really have no words for it. So yeah, man, it's always dope to see people's personal strategy and, execution plan. And it's dope. I love what
Right?
what you all have built.
Thank
So
you.
keep doing your thing. The water
Thank you.
priestess.
Right? We met right around the time I was really stepping into the water priestess archetype.
All right.
And I mean, the amount of codes you provided for my path, I mean,
Actually,
like,
thank you.
I uncovered Maritime Admiralty Law through the water. I'm
Yeah,
like, currency, cash flow, liquid assets. I'm like, what's
yeah,
happening? And then
yeah.
when Shayna found you, it was on my birthday.
Word.
Yeah, and she comes to me and is like, dude, we gotta go to this. And we're like, okay, let's bring the water. And you really like put all my pieces together.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is an actual part of what I'm here to do. And I feel like sometimes, when people see from the outside, oh, just a water priestess, she does water ceremonies. I'm like, I do a
Yeah.
lot more than that.
Right, all right.
You know?
For sure.
Deep, it's
Definitely,
deep.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
thank
it's
you.
dope to see how you flipped it and twisted it and, took it in your own way, and made it even much more bigger and made your own like audience for it. It's really dope, because I would have never thought of, the water and, breaking it down in the water in so many different ways. And it's like, damn, it is, very relatable to the water and the currencies and everything that we do in commerce. So it's like,
Right?
okay, I can dig it. I can dig it.
Mhm.
So, congratulations on everything. And, hey, I'm just, I'm proud of you all for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you. And congratulations to you too. I
Uh,
mean, the growth that I've been able to see and how many people we're helping. And
uh,
I do have to say that the way that you communicate it is
mm-hmm,
a lot more simple
mm,
without giving too much, because
right,
people always want everything. And the way that you
right.
communicate it, you're just like dropping bombs, sit with that,
Yeah, yeah,
So thank you.
for sure, for
Congratulations
sure.
on all your abundance.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Queen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Miss
So are
Priestess.
you
Hmm.
in Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Texas. I'm in Texas right now, actually. Yes,
Mm,
ma'am. So, yeah, just, living it up, for the most part. And it's hot as hell, out here. Man, but it's cool, definitely been enjoying myself and definitely I'm probably gonna be looking to go somewhere else, probably here pretty soon. Just I want to go somewhere kind of sunny and on the beachy and things of that nature, and yeah, and just kind of celebrate life now. That's what it's kind of time for. So
right.
yeah, just getting ready, getting ready. Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Exactly. And so to introduce you,
Hmm.
everyone, you go by BrothaTruth on Instagram. Do you want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
introduce yourself, who you are, what platforms you've created to just give everybody a backstory about yourself?
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. I can definitely do that. I guess tell them about who I am. who, what, when, where, why, basically the basics. And yeah, that's cool. I can definitely do that. All
Perfect.
right. I'm a little nervous.
I
All right.
love
You
it.
know. But yeah, cool. So I mean, just whenever you want me to start or, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
All
usually
right.
just flow in it and then I'll put my intro and then I'll cut pieces out and then we just
Ah,
flow. Yeah, I usually just flow with it.
fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, peace and love, family. I am Chief Kalani Ali, and straight from Houston, Texas, and it's a pleasure, definitely, to come on here and build with you all, and the Water Priestess, of course. I guess, I'm an entrepreneurship major from Jackson State University, so I've always kind of had a nature and a hunger for business and entrepreneurship. That was my major, of course, like I said, and so basically when I kind of stepped into this world of understanding commerce and business and things of that nature, it actually kind of opened my vision up, and I was actually kind of able to connect, all of the worlds from public and private together and create my own system called iselflawandmaster.com, which is a public university, an online public university for helping people basically, correct their affairs, correct their status, take control over their entities, their instruments made in their name, and just, some depths of some other things. But yeah, and yeah, so basically now just, I go around the world and help, connect the pieces and show everyone else kind of, how to correct the status and take control over their lives and really understand the power of consumer laws and just knowing that they already have strength. And, it's just about waking up and knowing who they are in the commercial world that they're operating in every day, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of about what I do. Yes, ma'am.
So did you have an awakening to the sovereignty process? How did you uncover like the depths?
Man. Well, I think, just certain things in life, certain challenges that I've had, just court cases, stuff like that. I can remember times like, maybe being on like probation, for like a gram of marijuana or something, back in the day when I was in college or something. And basically, I ended up being on probation, and I remember going in there and I ended up paying them off early, and the guy was like, hey, you don't even have to come back anymore. It's all good. And I was just like, oh, that was it. You just wanted the money, and from there, it just kind of got me curious. And I just kind of got to thinking like, man, is this really about business or is this actually about law? And that was just when I was young, still in college, probably about 20, 21 years old, 22. And yeah, and from there, I just started getting curious, started reading. And, the more and more I started to read, the more and more I started to find out that, oh man, the system is paper thin, this isn't even actually the government we're operating in under a constitution. We're actually operating under a corporation as public shadow slaves. And then it was just like, oh, whoa, everything just started falling all on me. At one time, it was like, oh, this is business. No different than the business I do every day. But, now it's just me, my life, and the business. So it was just like, I need to take control over myself, over my affairs. And yeah, that's kind of what just kind of led to everything that I'm doing today. Of course, learned from other people too, as well. Other master teachers, who taught this and just, kind of put different pieces and pieces together, to formulate and create my own system.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a process that we all go through differently. We all
Yeah.
wake up to this corporation differently. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to me because I talk so much about dead water and living water.
Yeah.
That was what I was all about before.
Yeah.
So when I uncovered this, I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, we are all the walking dead. And we just got to wake up and realize that we are already free and we are already living and we
Yeah.
just are, the vessel that we can navigate the lawful
Yeah.
state, what I like to say.
I say
Wow. Wow. And
exactly.
so
Yeah.
a big part for me about this process, um, so me and Chad and Shayna, we all found you first. So you were like our
Yeah.
master that like initiated us in here. And then it took us so many
Yeah.
different routes. I mean, I got my car repoed. I made a lot of
Uh,
mistakes,
for sure. It's a learning experience for sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I started realizing my DNA was going through a process that as soon as I heard you start talking about the true history or the true story,
Mm,
that for me was a pivotal point. Whereas maybe for them, that wasn't as big.
mm,
But I felt it in my DNA in the way that you
mm.
shared our ancestors and just what happened on the land, and that they don't teach
Yeah,
in history books or anything. And
for
you were so
sure.
passionate about it. That's what I really felt to ask you about today, since
Yeah.
Juneteenth is coming up. You know, there's been a lot of talk about Black history and the color Black, and I would just love for you to share your lens, because you just flew my mind when I found this. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, history I feel like is one of the biggest things, biggest pieces that's missing, especially in school and in our history, that leaves so many people lost. I believe, history is kind of swept under the rug. Not too many people really care about it. It's not the sports. It's not, it's not none of, one of the fun topics, I guess, people, mathematics and other things, that science that people use every day, I guess. But yeah, history is huge, because you can't really know where you're going in life until you know where you come from. So, and the history that teaches in school is a little jaded, but yeah, I mean, just as far as so-called, Black history and just history here in America, I mean, it all kind of goes down to trauma. And I would think, because, before we were even labeled or classified as so-called Black people, we actually had indigenous tribes here, nations, we had chiefs and, kings and queens and things of that nature. We had, royalty and, so, when we think back to our tribal nations and our heritage and our culture, we can actually go back to somewhere that actually brings us strength and happiness. And, to me, when I think of Black, all I can really think of is trauma. That's all I can ever think of what we've been shown in movies. And, they've taken this little part of history at that, a little part of history and just turned it into a traumatizing, we were slaves for 400 years, which is dramatically incorrect. Just dramatically incorrect and, numerically incorrect. It went, it's nowhere correct on a time scale either. So, so it's just, it's a shame that, most of us got caught into the whole colors and the, because really at the end of the day, this was about nations. And we actually had, foreign nations that were actually coming over here to integrate with these nations over here. And this was really more about flags, more about, things of that nature. And, we kind of all got caught in, more of the Black, the white, and that was more so of the game that was kind of perpetuated after 1871 when we kind of lost the Civil War here. And, and I mean, they, of course they have the Juneteenth, and, we were supposedly, that was the day we found out we were free and, all this other kind of stuff. But really in my mind, we weren't free, because people were still, they became free Blacks, but you were still Black. So it's like, yeah, we just shifted from physical slavery now to mental slavery. And it was just a whole new game, so it was like, to me, still Juneteenth is cool, but now it should be more so about, us actually coming to real freedom now, sovereignty, on Juneteenth. If we're going to do anything, let's start celebrating. Let's go for sovereignty, because just being Black ain't going to do anything and celebrate that, and unfortunately, our culture will be so happy with so many little things, as far as, we just had the Asian, we did so much to help people get, elected into presidency, and help the Asian community, everything. And, now it was like, when they passed these laws, they passed bills for protection for other races and culture. And, for us, we got Juneteenth and it was like, we was going to celebrate that shit anyway, regardless, like while we celebrating some shit, we was going to celebrate anyway. We should be worried about structures, bills, economies, actually getting our heritage, our culture. But, we get so lost in the mix out here, so, this whole Blackness, I believe it's just really a disguise for trauma and really keeping us hypnotized in this commercial game that they have going on. This is why you see it in the MLB, the NFL. It's so much Black lives, this Black, Black, Black. So, they want to keep us here. That's why they signed this Juneteenth bill. They want to keep us Black. They want to keep us in this traumatizing repetition, over and over, instead of actually going back to our nations where we actually have culture, we have heritage, we have food, we have certain ways we ate, certain ways we lived. We didn't even live in these big box ass houses. You know what I'm saying? So, I could go on all day about that, but, it's just, real Juneteenth now needs to be about the celebration and the resurrection of who we are as a people. I mean, no matter who you are and where you come from, it's just about, knowing that you can have a tribe, regardless of who you are, and you all can all operate outside of their commercial system, because their commercial system isn't anything that we can really truly descend from. It's a business. You come from the land. You know what I'm saying? You are a people. So yeah, we got to go back to being a people again, just as a society, and stop worrying about coloring books and shit, and actually worry about building together as nations of people.
Yes, yes, yes. Ashe, that was beautiful.
Thank
Just
you.
so fluid. And when did this categorization begin with Black and race?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Wonderful. And you on point with the questions. Yeah. Man, you about to get me started in here. Okay. No, I'm just playing. But nah, basically, I would say, kind of after the Civil War in 1871, it's kind of funny that you asked that, because, a way in a strategy that they always got us to leave our tribe and our communities. And even still that they're doing it today is, they'll kind of promote some of us up to the top, and they'll put us in the suits and, have us looking good. And, everybody else, from the hood, we all like, man, we want some of those shiny cars and clothes too. What we got to do and what we got to be. So basically, after the Civil War was over, that's when the Confederate States lost, the Civil War. And really the Confederate States were us. You had the Powhatan Confederacy, the Iroquois Confederacy. We had all of these indigenous confederacies, because the confederacies were really us going against the Union, which was really backed by Britain. So it was really more so, it was way more than about slavery. It was bigger than that. So anyway, after we lost in 1871, basically that's when they naturalized us, and turned us from, Choctaw, Cherokee, Blackfoot, or whatever it may have been. And they naturalized us, and we became U.S. citizens, became blacks. And, they kind of took us all from our nation and just threw us all in one big ass gumbo pot and just called us, Negroes today, coloreds tomorrow, blacks, browns, blue, whatever, what I'm saying, that they mixed us all together in one big ass pot, and they just took your whole heritage and said, yo, all the darkies, we're going to say that they're from Africa, and all the ones that are, mixed breed and everything, we're going to say that they're Native Americans. We're not going to say they're Choctaw, Cherokee, or give them American Indian titles, but Native Americans, because natives are actually still subjects under English law. So, yeah, that's kind of how they mixed it and twisted here. Right then is when the names and the labels started going. And that's when they started calling us blacks. And because basically these are like labels that, the British Crown and them kind of control, all over the world, like trademarks almost, and it's like when we put on these labels, these black, this, whatever, that it's basically like property. We belong to them, you wouldn't wear these trademarks on your back, well, I'll put it like this, like, it's almost like branding, in business, and back in the day in slave times, slaves used to put their brand on the slave, and basically that was like a trade mark, and, whenever they sold them, people knew, okay, this slave came from here because he has this trademark, so yeah, it was deep, and basically when we put on these blacks, these labels, we're basically putting on trademarks, putting on somebody's, label and yeah, culture, so it's like we've just been stripped of our culture and heritage, and we've been given like this black history that's been going through trauma, been going through hell, being hung, being, chased, killed, shot. But it's like, that's all we're told. We're just only told about this one little part of history after 1871, when we lost the Civil War. And it's like, yo, we weren't slaves for 400 years. We didn't lose until 1870s, and yeah, it's crazy, and like I said, they just always use our own people, to get us to believe that this system was something else. And that's why you can go in 1868, see the Reconstruction of Louisiana. They had people who, who were all melanated brothers in velvet suits and shit, who basically, helped them reconstruct the Constitution. Because, they were like, hey, we already know you guys are losing the Civil War. You guys are finna lose. Hey, we'll let you guys come in and reconstruct the Constitution with us, and we'll let you guys do special things for black people now. Matter of fact, we'll even let you guys have black schools, right? So basically after 1870s is when they brought in all the HBCUs. I mean, you had like over 90 HBCUs that were created after 1870. That was because now we were going to educate Black people. We were going to educate indigenous people on how to be Black now. So I'm going to take you to a historically Black college university. Most HBCUs were started by actual Caucasians, actually. Facts, most of them were started by Caucasians. So at the end of the day, it was like, okay, they created these systems now, and we're going to teach them how to be Blacks, how to walk like Blacks, talk like Blacks, think like Blacks. Your history is now going to be Black. We're going to give you Black history, and that's going to be just from trauma. We're not going to tell you your chiefs and you had tribes and heritage and you walked like a man. No, we can't teach you that, so yeah, it goes deep. So, when I think about Juneteenth and all of these things, I mean, and an Emancipation Proclamation, all of this other stuff, I mean, it was never actually about us being free people, truly. They were just switching up the game and how they were going to be doing the control system now. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to celebrate being Black free shit. I want to be actual free, because being Black, you can never be free. We can never get any reparations. We can never get anything. And like I said, until we heal as a people, it's hard for us to build and operate with other cultures and things outside of our community, because we haven't taken care of our home first. You know what I'm saying? And, your mom used to always tell you, make sure you clean your room first, but before you go outside and start playing with everybody else in the street. There's no problem with that. We want to all go outside and play. But at the end of the day, we got to learn how to wipe our own ass right here at home, but, and take care of our affairs. You know what I'm saying? But we can't really do that until we first come home. We're not even at home yet. We don't know our culture, our heritage, how we think, how we're really supposed to walk and talk, because we don't remember our tribes. We don't have anything, so that's why this is a very, very powerful time in history, because now people are seeing the reconnection, of not just melanated people coming to their culture, but just, all people now connecting back, because we're all coming back to our peace. In which our peace is knowing thyself. So once you know thyself, we can actually operate with other people, because you can't know love until you first love yourself. It's impossible.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Wow, Ashe.
Yes,
Ooh, I feel that. And that is why it is so important what we're doing. Some people just see it as, okay, I'm going to get my affairs together. I'm going to do this, I'm going to get that. Well, it's actually deeper than that. And that's the aspect that I was like, whoa, this is an illumination to share with people. And what a divine time to be doing it, because everybody's already talking about it, and inviting this space. And if you're new to these concepts, open up to what he's saying, because when we're open, our DNA gives us the answers. Our DNA guides us. I had this drop with the sovereignty process, the authentication process, is that every little step of the way, my DNA is working with the algorithm of the matrix through my DNA. So if I go in there, I might get resistance, other than my brother over here walking in here without resistance. And I've experienced this getting my passport. I'm like, why is this so easy for you? And it really started to make me see that it's not just what we're doing, it's how we're doing it. That's why I felt called to bring this truth forth, because once you understand your home and what you stand for, when you go to exercise your rights, when you are navigating lawful waters, you are able to see what you are holding for your people. Chills.
I say, that's exactly it. Oh man, yeah, you snap. Yeah, but that's exactly it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, once you know who you are and know your stance at law and just at life, it gives you a whole new level of power. We have all the power. We just have no idea, who we are, how we're supposed to operate in this system. But like I said, the way that we bring people in and we kind of teach them that's why, I don't take them straight to the consumer laws, because a lot of times people are just try to go straight to the candy. It's like, yeah, I can show you, I can show you how to get everything. I can show you how to discharge, show you everything, and show you how simple this is, because you're a consumer. We all are, but it's like, I have to teach you the estate planning, because, you got to know how to transfer these assets and, have generational wealth. And that's something that, especially our culture, my culture, and your culture, everybody's culture. That's a lot of things that people sleep on, and there's the very few up there at the top who know the importance of passing on generational wealth. And it all starts with simple things like trust, and starting with creating things on paper first. And actually, because everything is just an idea if it isn't written on a piece of paper and actually executed. So it's just, it's important to teach ourselves. And because people like Aretha Franklin died with like $80 million, and didn't have a trust set up, and now they're in court, the kids and stuff are fighting over it. And it's because you don't have your affairs together. And it's simple things that we could put in place. So there's no reason why our people, anybody should be struggling after you transcend and go on to another place, because everything should be in line, it should be affairs, and just so I teach them the estate planning, and that teaches them how to love thyself and understand what they are, who they are, what happened in this system. Then boom, you teach them the consumer laws, and it's like boom, business, how to create. And everybody can live free. This is about to be Nasara. It is Nasara. We are here. This is us living and operating freely. Only those who want to, though. And because a lot of times people think Nasara is going to be like a big episode, and they're going to say, all right, everybody's free now, and it ain't happening like that. Nasara is actually going to be a mental thing, a mental state that we have to go to, not the state of United States, but a mental state that we all have to evolve to, and know that we are creditors and we are consumers, and everything is already given to us and paid for. You can live the life you want to, and there's no reason to rob, steal, and kill for dollar bills when you could live life off of your credit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, it's weird, just to see people doing things erratically, when it's like, damn, we're serving time in jail, and you could be happy out here just if you had the knowledge, so it's time for happiness now. It's time for peace, and peace starts with understanding and knowing and knowledge, and knowing the ledge, and knowing how to move and where to move. So it's a beautiful time in history right now, and I'm blessed to be able to share it with people like yourself. And it's even doper to see students who weren't stagnant about it. It's certain people that, I know that the light kind of clicks when you see it, when it goes off the bulb. And, you've always had the light, the flame, the everything. So I'm not really surprised. I honestly expected this from you, so I'm just proud to see how many people you've touched now, and gotten on the commercial world, and you gave it to them in your own little twist, so it's really dope, man. It's really dope. And it's powerful, because even what you do is going to be able to help people of many different cultures and backgrounds. So big ups to you, and creating this platform so that people can check this out and build. Thank you.
Exactly. I feel like it was part of my just lineages being mixed with so many things. It was so confusing, like where do I actually belong? And something that you said about willing through the water lens, the journey of commerce for me came from me aligning with divine will, meaning, all right, I got my free will back, right? I see a choice now. And that's the first step for people, is saying, hey, there's this other process here. There's commerce. And when you see it, you realize, oh, I have a choice.
Yeah.
Okay, free will. All of a sudden, we're restoring our free will, which I call it freeing the well. So this well within us, as it's freeing, is as the choices are there, our ancestors come online within us, and the divine will just starts working through us. And it's interesting to me, the languaging around building a trust. That's trust with you, with your will, with source, and navigating that will, and coming back to this is a rising of our people again. And I call it the rising of the tides, and navigating these lawful waters together is knowing through multiple lenses. I've heard yours, I've heard many different lenses, and I love it, because when we're able to support each other through that, and to get the word out, and just remind people, yo, one size does not fit all. If you're
Man,
expecting, I say this to people, if you're
right,
expecting the commerce process to just get what you want when you want it, and you're not willing to put in that work, that
man.
is the DNA part of it.
Yeah,
You know,
you
like,
gotta put in that work.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Wow. That's
So it's
wow. Yeah, that's
it's
it.
it's interesting because I carried that over to the way I invest. Like if I'm
Yeah.
investing in gold, if I'm investing in anything, it's the state of being I am in my vessel when I'm
Yeah.
investing. It's
Yeah.
the state of being I'm in when I go to the courthouse. It is the state
Yeah.
of being I am in when I'm walking around without my mask. It's
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what collapses the timelines and allows you to navigate,
Yeah.
just more fluidly through the system. And so, okay, so one thing I did want to go over, and I get a
Mhm.
lot of questions about, is King George. I get a
Yeah.
lot of questions about this, and our next reunion is in Georgia, so I just find it really synchronous.
Really? Yeah.
Could you share?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean King George, and I mean that goes back all the way to even King James and Jamestown and that King James version of the Bible. These were definitely melanated men who came over here and who were actually Britannian Moors, brutish Moors, as we'll say, and came from the Britannian Empire. So it was always the plan from King James's time, to always come over here and kind of integrate and bring his culture, his tribe, his nation here on this land to do business. As we all know, the 13 colonies and where everything started. But as it went on down the line in generations, of family members, and then finally got to King George. He also too during that time. These were the time where, after that time, well, hold on, can I say, well, yeah, they got here around 1600s, and basically they had been here now in the 1700s for a couple of 100 years. And, you know, uh, this is when King George was like, hey, my colonists over here, are actually still property and belong to I. These are still my, and that's when some of the Americans now, who have been living here with the colonists, and we had, been breaking bread, just building with them, showing them how to eat, live. We had been, partnerships now with a lot of the colonists that were here. And we were like, hey, these people want to be free, and basically we'll go to war, if you want to take them back, and basically truly a lot of this was actually started between the indigenous peoples of America and King George, which was actually a melanated man and a Moor too as well, and he had a wife named Charlotte, which was actually to prevent war during that time, because King George was like, all right, well, we're gonna have to go to war then. That's when Americans said, hey, we'll break bread. We'll say, hey, we'll do you a favor, because back then men like to do things that were special for their wives, and that's when he said, hey, the Americans were like, hey, we'll make an offer and we'll give some land up to your wife and we'll name it after her. And that's where you have Charlotte Mecklenburg, Mecklenburg County over there in Charlotte, North Carolina. We actually named that for her, and it was right there during that times in the late 1700s, right when we chose them, we're going to break bread. And King George was like, all right, I'll leave y'all alone for now. That's good enough for now. We'll keep that, but I will be back. And that's really what started the whole Civil War, just because in the 1800s, it was really a war over the colonists, and power, and actually, taking over control of territory here in America. So, and they were backed by the Union. All right, pops, and they were backed by the Union. So that's really when the whole Civil War, that was the roots of that. And King George was basically, one of the main ones who was still carrying out King James's initial plan, which was to come over here and take over. And that's how you now have the United States of America today, which really started and rooted from the 13 colonies, which goes back from George all the way back to James. And yeah, which was really just a plan to take over here, no different than how they took over all over the world, which is the crown, and a lot of the United Nations, well, actually the United Nations is ran and overseen by the crown. So the crown has always, and, kind of teamed up with church and state, which was the Britannian Empire, and kind of conquered the world, and yeah, that's how it kind of
That's
happened.
where Maritime Admiralty Law comes in.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, because everyone's declared dead at sea,
Right?
So yeah, we got to got to wake up, to come back alive again and take control over our vessels. Get those pirates off of your ship.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what about the
Uh,
Moroccans? Could you go
hmm.
into some wars?
Who that?
The Moroccans?
The Moroccans. Well, again, too, that was, another empire. You had the Moroccan Empire during that time, that basically, I want to say, after the United States was just kind of created during the, 1776, they got their freedom or whatever from Britain. This was during the times now where, King George was like, hey, we want to grow, we want to ship, we want to trade, and, with other countries, so that we can build and grow as a nation. But unfortunately, there wasn't going to be any shipping in those waters because you had a lot of pirates and things of that nature who were under the Moroccan Empire and things of that nature. And they were like, hey, no, you're not going to do any shipping in these waters unless you sign some treaties, and basically that's when, George Washington was like, hey, well, we're going to have to break bread as a nation. And, cool. That's when he linked up with the Sultan at that time of the Moroccan Empire. And, that's when they signed, the Peace and Friendship Treaty of 1787 eventually. And basically that was a treaty between the Moroccan Empire, his men under his flag, under his nation, under his empire, basically, who were Moors under the Moroccan Empire. They were to be free. When they came here to America, Moors were to be treated differently. That was in the treaty, and the exchange was like, hey, we're going to let you all ship in the waters. It was like a trade treaty. If you give us peace over there in the States, in America, we'll let you ship and grow as a country, as a nation out here in the waters and trade. And that's why the Moroccan Empire was the first ones to actually recognize the United States as an actual nation so that they could trade and do all those other kind of things, recognize them as a country, so that they could, ship and, different things of that nature. So that's where that kind of goes all the way back to now. You have the Moroccan Empire. Again, that was an empire ran by a sultan and actual nation of people. And then later on over time, they ended up getting overtaken and, it became the state of Morocco, which we have now today, which really wasn't created until like the mid 1900s or something. So you have the state of Morocco, which is different than the Moroccan Empire, which was a whole empire that was, around the world, just like the Britannian Empire. But, at the end of the day, one got bigger and stronger than the other. And eventually took them over. And that's what happened to the Moroccan Empire was, the story that she wrote. And, eventually they got turned into the state of Morocco over there, which we know today in Africa. So the state of Morocco and the Moroccan Empire are two totally different things. So when they say, oh, Morocco recognized the United States in 1787 or whatever, in the late 1700s, they were really talking about the Moroccan Empire, not the state of Morocco, which we know of today that exists in Africa. That so-called Africa. That's another story too. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to share your lens on that?
No, I mean, just depending on different teachings and different things of that nature, they'll say, this is all supposedly Africa, this is Northwest Africa, they'll call it a Mexum, depending on what teachings or whatever you come from. So, they'll call this Almorak or they'll call this Turtle Island, depends on which perspective or which view you're looking at this at, but at the end of the day, it's all land, it's all territory, it belongs to no one, whatever we want to call it, it is what it is. But, it's all about your own personal perspective. But, so, I mean, some people call it Africa or whatever, all of this Africa. I mean, I believe definitely there was names that existed long, long, long before we were using such terms, such English terms and things of that nature. So, yeah. I don't really have much to say about that, about just the Africa term. But, I know that's, now in present day, it's for commercial terms, it is a continent. And unfortunately, many of our people, too, are also connected to that shit, just like how they are Blacks. Nobody can be continental. Again, so many of us want to be proud Africans, don't really know where we're from, and they take those false DNA tests, ancestry.com. And, they've literally created a system, to take certain DNA and say, okay, when we get this kind of certain American DNA, we're going to classify it and say it's from over here in Africa. And that's what they're going to believe. Shit, back in the day, our people didn't have no damn ancestry.com in the 1800s, 1700s. You know what I'm saying? Our tribe was our tribe, and that's who we banged with. It was like gang banging. Many of the people you gang banging with, that's not your blood brother, but y'all get down, So it's the same way with a tribe. You're a tribe of people, and that's just who you operated with. It was about who was in your region, who was in your area, who was your clan. It wasn't about a blood, your saliva. What the hell, So to even think that we would be taking saliva tests and that would be telling me who I'm from instead of actually knowing your genealogy, which is your actual family tree and your lineage of where you come from. It's all a game of mind trickery.
Right. And they control those lineages and they categorize them into specific lines. And when I was in college, I went to apply for quote unquote Native American scholarships, and I had to get my blood drawn, and they started educating me on blood quantum. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of that silliness.
And it's this whole process of seeing like if you're actually a part of a tribe or if you have a specific percentage of blood quantum that qualified me to be a part of that lineage. And because so many are quote unquote watered down, there's not many of us that are able to even be a part of those tribal councils. So it was this whole, that's how I woke up to it, because I don't know my whole lineage. I don't know my dad's side or anything like that. So when I was going through this process, it really showed me how much labeling was going on behind the scenes that I didn't realize. I mean, we were in the system, commodities in the system. And once you start understanding the system, especially commerce and trade and your social security numbers and your birth certificates, you really are your own. It's a product.
Yeah, it's a product. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Hey, I see this. No. And
Wow.
we can even go so much deeper into the systemic part of human trafficking, because a lot of people are talking about that. And
this is the biggest form of human trafficking, like every day. Yeah. We don't even know. Yeah, you're right. 100%.
And wow. When I was learning the codes, when I was filling out the national's passport, I was just like, there are certain ways that they have used grammar and words to get us to consent to contracts that we don't even realize we're consenting to. So knowing the language, knowing the words and all of that, we're truly coming into that freedom, that's why I love the commerce lens, is because we actually are already free.
Yeah.
Now it's just about claiming that actually in the embodiment of the physical.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Wow. I say that's exactly it. I mean, that's it on the money. You know what I'm saying? And it's like once we come over to the other side, and like I say, status correction is, the paperwork to me, like I said, is only 5%. That only backs up really what you're saying and who you are. But 95% is really just the whole status correction is more mental to me. And mentally knowing, that you have the power, mentally knowing that you are a national and not a US citizen. Everybody was born in a state, and we weren't born in a corporation. Nowhere on our birth certificate does it say anything about being a US citizen, but for some reason it's something that we always check off on contracts, and it's like, who told us that we were ever US citizens though? But yeah, it's like, it's something that we've bought into through marketing, through business, their own business marketing. They're marketing, like you say, to a product. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're products of, our environment, and it's literally, it's crazy. They're marketing to us on television what they want us to buy, what want us to eat, how they want us to live, how they want us to do everything. And it's like, until you are in control over your vessel, you don't even know half the time that you're even being navigated, being on cruise control. You don't even know somebody's in control over your life because you've never really had control over it. So that's why it's like, when you do finally wake up in this game, in this system, it's literally like being reborn again. And I could have the whole talks about the Bible and everything like that, but that's all metaphorical and allegorical, and these are all stories that can be related and told back in real time because it was a science book, with the Helios Bibliotech. It really wasn't a religious book that we use it for today when King James came over here with his King James version, so yeah, everything kind of got twisted and tainted. But yeah, it's this is all science, man. And it's like, like you say, our DNA being reactivated, and all 11, 12 strains waking back up or whatever, and actually us knowing thyself. Because it's like, yeah, we wouldn't be doing half the shit that we're doing today if we actually knew that we were in control over everything. You wouldn't be wasting your time working, paying off bills and debts that were already paid off. You know what I'm saying? You'd be spending your energy on creating something and changing something in the world that you were really passionate about, instead of giving away everything to somebody else's visions and dreams. Yeah, we all have visions, we all have dreams, and I feel like we can all make money and we can all trade with each other. The business is us. And that's why the crypto and things of that nature is so important too, as well, because now we don't need the banks. We can do everything between each other without any of their assistance or help. And now it's like, that's a huge step in sovereignty, because, okay, once you have the banking and your own treasury system, or however you want to do it, now we can start stepping away and don't really need them. That's how we're really stuck and really trapped in their system, because we're still using their money, and don't really know how to navigate through credit the proper way, and transfer it out of their world and put it in your private world so that they can't even touch it anymore. So it's like, yeah, as a consumer, it's cool, use their public credit, but now convey it and transfer it back to your private world where they can't ever come back and touch it. It's literally a game, plug in, plug out, your Neo,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So
And
it's beautiful.
that's the depth of it. I've uncovered the 15 strands of DNA and why
There you go.
we really feel like we only live in these specific 3D realities, where we're so much more than that. And as that's all coming online and we start
Right.
to navigate our way, that's also navigating our way out of multiple layers of atmospheres. I
That's right.
call them the social pressure atmospheres, the law system,
Mhm.
commerce. It all has these ceilings, and when you're aware of the ceilings, you find the holes, because we are water, and water always finds its way. And
Always.
there's
I
nothing
say.
nothing in between us and source. And navigating that for me has been one of the most freeing analytical moments of my life, because it can be very left brain. It can be
Sure.
very much like, here's
Sure.
this and here's this. And when we're starting to navigate in that way, that's why it's so important to be in that sovereign self and be in those states as we're navigating it. Because once we actually see that the banking systems, like banks control the flow of currency, there's
Yeah.
these dams, and especially using their forms of currency, I
Mm.
see it. What I see through the monetary system right now is it's going through a shift, just like we're insending. I like to call it insending.
Yeah.
We're insending, and so is the monetary system, because technically, currency, cash flow, liquid assets, that's all us.
Right.
All we are the abundance, just like
I
we
say.
are our business. And
Yeah.
when we start to recognize that we have the power to take these little steps right now, instead of just being like, we're not going to have money someday and we're going to be living in harmony and all these things,
Right.
great. I see that too. And
Mhm.
it's about those of us who are like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm
Right.
here to take these little steps, not only for myself, but for my people.
Right. I say.
Rising in that, really rising in that.
So, and it's very
Um,
few that take that real challenge, to actually know that they're gonna have to take those steps and learn, and put in the work. But like I said, so like you said, things happen in the beginning, when you're just learning. But now when you become aware of certain laws, it's like, oh, I can actually go back and sue these people for that. I can
right, right.
actually go back and like I can get much remedy, now knowing what I know. So yeah, man, knowledge and just awareness more than anything, because you have so many people who are, with this so-called quote unquote conscious movement, but really aren't conscious and even aware of the system and that they're operating in. So it's a big game and a big shit show to me. A lot of this going on out here. And it's like so it's never. It's hard for me to really kind of get caught up in the lights, camera, action. I don't really because I already know everybody has the same everything. We're all wealthy, we're all rich, we're all this and that. So it's like for me to even try to stunt and seem like I'm something more when we all have the same thing. It's like, no, it's just about you becoming into awareness of what I know, and yeah, so that's why it's like become a real true light bearer when
Yeah.
when you come into that knowledge and the information. And yeah, because you can really shed light on people and change their lives in ways that they've never ever imagined. And that's a feeling that you can't buy off of a counter. And it gives you a sense of pride, to wake up and live and keep going every day. So it's definitely way bigger than the money. I think the more and more you start to rise and get bigger and greater, and you start to shine more and more with your energy. I think now it becomes more about learning to understand value and understand the value of your time and your energy, because being that you're such a light bearer, you want to help everybody, but at the same time you got to help yourself and be able to preserve you. So yeah, I think yeah, self-preservation is so important. Yeah,
Budgeting.
yeah, energy budgeting for sure, because it's not about the money. Once you know and understand what this is really about, it's about energy. All this is currency, and once you become in control over the currency in your life, you can live, you can chill, you can operate on your own time. And that's really what we really all are fighting for, our own time.
That's the
Yeah.
same with entrepreneurship. I love how much you bring awareness to business.
Yeah.
I remember when
Mhm.
elections were going on and you're like, y'all, this is a president of a corporation. Like,
Right.
and I'm like, exactly. If you see the business and
Right.
you see the meaning and the why behind entrepreneurship, and
Yeah.
especially in more of the conscious communities, there's such a block with money.
Yeah.
Abundance. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, there's something to entrepreneurship for you putting in the work. That's a privilege just to sit around and expect it to happen for you.
Right.
We were here, birthed here, we live and breathe in. And
Right.
maybe some of us have never experienced that type of freedom within entrepreneurship.
Right.
Maybe they had never experienced, wow, I could actually build this for myself. I can
Right.
actually do this. And I'm over here like, yo, I trial and error through it. So I'm sharing my mistakes with people so they don't duplicate those mistakes. I know you share
Right.
the same. I know Chad's over here sharing
Yeah.
the same. So good.
Yes, man. So, it's
Hmm.
a beautiful thing, man. And, I just want to say, I'm proud, of all the progress and all the great achievements that you all are doing. I see your tribe getting so huge, so big, retreats and in the water and, all on the rocks and, everything, man. It's dope. That's real dope. And, I mean, I can't say I would have wanted anything else. I think, when I started this years and years and years ago, like maybe I say years, but it's only like 4 or 5 years ago. When I started this years ago, I think, my vision, because I think some of the teachers that taught me, I think got a little mad. Were like, oh, well, we don't want you, sharing this information. You got to bring everybody back to us. I'm like, bro, are you serious? It was like, this, we're trying to really help our people here. And it's like, even when people understood, they were still out here chasing the money and that's all it was about. And it was like, nah, it's about actually passing this knowledge on and seeing other people duplicate it and seeing how they flip it, how they twist it, how they share with their own energy, their own views. And I think that's what makes this cool, So, I know like in 5 years, we'll see a lot of change. It'll be people, who are waking up to it at a much rapid pace. And in 10 years, it'll be a whole new different world. Be robots, it'll be all kind of shit. And it's gonna be either you're in or you're out. Either you still believe in their magic show, or either you're creating your own, because we are our own magicians. We have our own power and we have the ability to create our own visions. So yeah, and as we grow and start having children, you're not going to birth them in the system, and just through generations we're going to literally come out of the United States, you know what I'm saying, and we're going to literally start creating our own nations and our own chapters for our own families all over again, because we had something before the corporation took over here, and now we're going back to sovereignty, and everybody will have their own family flags, their own seals, their own nations, their own tribes, their own everything. And, we as a people will interact with each other universally, and
Yeah,
it'll be about cultures and sharing heritage and going back to the way things, your ancestors used to do things. And you'll actually become the ancestors now, and you'll create the new tribes and traditions and things
right.
of that nature. So it's really a reset. It's a true reset, because it's a reset for those who are, awake, because we're going back to our heritage, our culture, and doing things the way that we want to do them. And it's a reset for those who are still asleep, because you're just going to be stuck in the same repetition and cycle, doing this shit over and over and over and over again. But yeah,
I feel
it's time
that.
to choose. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And that's been a big part of it because, one of the biggest shadows that comes up within building movements and building businesses and being on the entrepreneurship journey is this element of competition. And, I've dealt with it with just going deeper into our ancestry and the indigenous ways. Is like the
Yeah,
world is ready for it.
yeah,
And honoring that, just honoring our ancestors instead of stealing it from them and
right,
everything in one. It's like it's already happening. I didn't even have a
mm,
plan. I feel
right,
like people in my community just knew what I was doing, and I kept getting all these questions, and I'm like, okay, that's the
right,
biofeedback that I'm like, all right, it's time for this platform. It's time for something that we can give them, because then I would be hoarding the knowledge to myself. Why would I do
right,
that? I'm here to share
right.
it, the Commonwealth.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There you go.
be able to support each other through that too. I know that some people don't fully agree with everything we do. I know that some people have other lenses about this. It's all
Right.
good because we're explorers. We
There you
are the
go.
visionaries and the voyagers, and we're willing to put that ego aside, put that pride aside, and say this is divine. This is source, and whatever is unfolding, it's for our people. Many different lenses. I always say many different courses to source.
Right. I
Hmm.
say I agree 100%. Beautifully spoken.
Hmm.
Beautifully spoken.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I'm so excited to put this out there,
Yeah.
especially around this time. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your wisdom.
Sure.
Thank you for your foundation that you have created so many can build upon. And thank you for supporting others who are, making it their own. And this is
Yeah.
the beginning. Thank you,
Sure.
Maha.
It's a beautiful thing, so and vice versa. I'm proud of you all, proud of your progression. And definitely keep it up, man. I can only imagine what you all are gonna be doing at this point next year. So definitely keep growing. And let everybody know I said hello. So yeah.
I will.
Yeah, so
Right.
if there's anything that you guys ever need, definitely reach out to me, and we
Mhm.
can definitely build from there. So
Yep, and I'll link your website, I'll link your Instagram all on here. Thank you all for listening. Feel free to email your questions. Keep
yeah,
the conversation flowing.
indeed. Peace
All
and love, Miss Water Priestess.
right. Peace.